Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next session, which is called Taking the Leap. I'm joined today by three very different people who've got backgrounds and started their own businesses, and we're really interested to find out more about their stories. So I'm going to start with our, let's say, newest business, new kid on the block. So Melissa, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business?
Yeah, absolutely, Danny. I'm Melissa Tilling. I'm CEO of a startup social enterprise travel company, Charitable Travel. What we do is help charities to fundraise and our customers to donate to the charity of their choice whenever they book holidays and travel through us. That's our social purpose, and that's why we exist.
Great, thank you. Angus, I believe you've just celebrated your first birthday, so you're next in line. So tell us a little bit more about yourself and your business.
Yeah, thanks, Danny. I am co-founder and chief financial officer of Holibob. Holibob is a business-to-business marketplace for tours and experiences. So we're solving the distribution and aggregation piece in the tourism experience market. We have a highly fragmented and disparate supply base in this space of small mum and dad startups or pop-up suppliers, and we take those, aggregate them, and essentially give consumer-facing travel brands a great into an exciting space.
Great, thank you. And Martin, can you believe it? I'm going to introduce you as being around the longest. So if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your business, please.
Yes, my name is Martin. I'm a co-founder and director of Latin Routes and Polar Routes. And yes, normally we are speaking as kind of a newish travel company, but we are in fact 8 years old now. We specialise, Latin Routes specialises in tailor-made and group holidays to Latin America, and Polar Routes specialises as a wholesaler for expedition cruises to the polar regions.
Right, thank you. And Martin, do you want to just tell us a little bit more about your career and how you got to Latin Routes, a bit of your background?
Yeah, so I started off sort of in travel in a few repping jobs. I worked for Eurocamp many years ago during university, and Crystal Ski for a season as well. But I actually came out of university with an architecture degree, with the first 3 years of an architecture degree, and kind of accepted at that point that I was not going to become an architect because I wasn't talented enough to design amazing buildings, and didn't fancy a career in garage conversions and loft conversions. So so I came to a crossroads, and I suppose like many of us fell into travel. I started my sort of proper career at Trailfinders as a worldwide sales consultant, and grew my travel career from there into management, and it's there that I met my business partner, and the idea for Latin Routes came around, which was launched in 2012, and obviously been at Latin Routes building the company ever since.
Yeah, excellent, thank you. And Angus graduated around about 2018, so tell us a little bit more about your route. How did you get where you are?
Frozen.
No, that's spot on. Yeah, so I graduated 2 years ago now, and I've done a master's in economics, so it was going to be slightly different to the travel space, and it was my initial thinking. But my now business partner, with the pair of us, lived together in our final year at university, and we started selling ski holidays just online, and we started a business effectively giving sort of the mid-range, the sort of 20 to 35 pre-family ski trips at affordable rates, and had some really good success with that, which was exciting. And then while we were trying to look for a summer counterbalance to the ski business, we realized that actually there was a potential opportunity for an aggregator, specifically focusing on business-to-business distribution in the tours and experience space. So off the back of our experience of running our ski business, which was quite a steep and quite an interesting learning curve, we kind of begun to understand the industry, and felt that the opportunity presented itself for Holibob. So we started Holibob, and glad to say we're now a year in.
Yeah, exciting stuff. And I can see that Martin's moved on from architecture into interior design there, showing around the house as he's on the move. Melissa, I know you've had lots of experience within the industry before you started your business. So if you could just tell us a bit more about your background, please.
Yeah, sure. Martin used the phrase fell into travel. I did that 33 years ago, went into a job centre looking for a temporary job, ended up working for, at the time, one of the largest tour operators in the country, almost by accident, a company called Intersun, and absolutely fell in love with the environment, the energy, the people within the industry, and thought, well, this is really what I want to do. Got more experience, got supervisor job, moved into operations, and then moved to a couple of different companies to get more experience, and kind of found myself then in commercial purchasing operations, commercial purchasing side of tour operating at long haul tour operators. I had the joy of, at the time in my career, of spending months overseas in places like Thailand and and around the world, and had a great time. I then moved into the solid commercial side of the business, looking at pricing and margin, working for long haul tour operators, until I joined Funway Holidays, an established long haul operator, in 2008 as product development director. And then moved through to being managing director up until August last year, and decided that the time was right, and also decided that, having had 33 years in a commercial environment, I decided that I wanted to do something that was more philanthropic. I wanted to stay connected with the industry, so started to investigate how I could do that and what the best way of doing that would be. So set up a community interest company, which is a type of company, a company's house, which ensures that all of the profit that you make after you've paid your overhead is deployed to good purpose for society and the community in general.
And how
that
did
launched,
you get...
that launched in April this year, in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, perfect timing. Yeah. And how did you get to where you are? So have you done some research into your business, or were you doing some studying, or was it just an idea that you had?
It was an idea that I had, and it was more a question of how did I make that work from a commercial standpoint? Because regardless of being a social enterprise, I think many people think of social enterprises, I don't know, chicken herders and tie-dye. You still need to actually make a social enterprise work commercially, even though your profit goes to good causes rather than a private shareholder. And so it was a germ of an idea that I'd been thinking about for some time. Started researching how to do it in September last year. Started studying again. I'm in the middle of a leave of absence from an MA in charity management, which has been fascinating. But really sort of solidly working on the processes, how the donations would work, who the market is, about charity and distribution. So it was a steep learning curve, but fascinating, and I'm loving every day, apart from no bookings.
Yeah, they'll come. The time will come. And Martin, you started Latin Routes. How did you get into that, becoming sort of a specialist tour operator? Was that somewhere that you'd sold lots of? Was it a gap in the market, or was there a different reason?
Yeah, I think it was principally a gap in the market situation for Latin Routes. I was at Trailfinders at the time, and back then Latin America was quite an undersold, underutilized destination by a lot of operators, including Trailfinders at the time. So I'd actually traveled quite extensively through Central and South America as sort of part of my gap year, if you like, and sort of had traveled quite through it and knew that it was an incredible destination. And so it was a bit frustrating when people were coming in asking for Latin American holidays. And back then, the main sort of options were either a very expensive, bespoke, tailor-made holiday that was £10,000 per person plus, or a group tour with obviously a fixed itinerary. which may or may not be going to the places that you wanted it to, or strap on a backpack and do it yourself. And we just knew that there must be something in the middle for people who are looking for a good holiday and certainly have a reasonable budget, but may not necessarily have the sort of mega money. And when we did our research at that point, we found there was one or two companies that offer that, that were offering it, but it was very sort of done in a very set way. It was done in the way it's always been done. It was pretty poor value. And so as we did more and more research, the opportunity became more and more obvious. And that's, and as I said, with my business partner at the time, we decided there was a gap in the market, and that's where it started.
Yeah. Okay. And then I understand that you've moved on and sort of diversified, and you've got a newer product, which is Polar Route. So how did you get to that point?
I mean, again, in some ways, a slightly similar situation in terms of spotting a gap in the market. I think we had a bit more luxury, if you like, with Polar Routes because we had an existing database of clients, and actually Latin routes and Antarctica or Latin America and Antarctica do go together. We had sold a little bit of Antarctic cruising because the access point for Antarctica typically is at south of Argentina or Chile. So we had a little bit of testing already, which is a really, I think, a very luxurious position for any startup to have. But again, a similar situation. Expedition cruising and sort of is starting to become much more well known, but certainly back when we started Polar Routes was very sort of unknown, and lots of the big sort of cruise agents, if you like, would do it if someone asked for it, but didn't know a lot about it, didn't sell it particularly well. And actually, you know, expedition cruising to the polar regions is a very specialist product that is actually very high ticket value and requires a lot of expertise in order to make sure you're putting your money into the right place. And when we again researched the market, you know, we found a few people offering that service, but not many. And we again felt that there was a gap in the market for us to occupy, and that's where Polar Routes came around.
Okay. And Angus, Martin mentioned there about having a business partner to start the business. I know that you have that as well yourself. Was that something that's important? Do you think that's helped, having someone to work together with, or would you rather have done it yourself in hindsight without getting yourself in trouble?
Right, it depends on the day, yeah. No, I think having a business partner for me, I guess it's different. Some different personality types. Some people thrive as an individual. Some people thrive as a team. I'm definitely the latter. My co-founder is as well. So we make a good team, and I think it's been fairly crucial that we've both. I don't think we'd be here if it was just one or the other of us. I guess when we got to the end of when we finished our sort of first ski season with our ski business, it was then very much a case of what next? What do we do for this summer counterbalance? So we actually started a brand called 100-hour holidays, and the ideology is that there'd be short sort of weekend breaks that had a very sort of activity and adventure focus, but like what Martin was saying, with more appetite moving towards the sort of adventure around the polar region. I think generally people are looking to do some more activity, interesting stuff. So we had this ideology that you could sort of fly out of the UK on your Thursday evening, your Friday evening, and be back for your Monday and have surfed off Morocco or done something exciting in that short period of time. The challenge that we came up against for that was finding that supply. So for us to go out and contract and find great surf lodges in Morocco or great food tours in Italy or Venice or something like that became a big challenge for us. What we wanted as a consumer-facing business at that stage was essentially a sort of a marketplace or an infrastructure for the tours and experience space that we could effectively just plug into and just access a lot of broad supply, which meant that we could focus on our consumers and getting sort of traffic to our website and all the other problems and scenarios you need to solve for a consumer-facing travel business. So when we sort of looked at this supply side and saw a myriad of different booking management systems, different types of suppliers, we thought, hey, there could be a gap here for an aggregator or a marketplace or a piece of infrastructure that can take an API feed or integrate into all these different suppliers, whether they're sort of small operations or medium operations or larger operations, and bring all that content and that availability and that live booking capacity into our platform, and then redistribute that to airlines, consumer-facing travel businesses, and anyone. And yeah, I think having a good business partner is fairly crucial in trying to pull something like that off. So
yeah. And bringing us on to Melissa, who's spinning all the plates and doing everything herself there in the background and the foreground as well. I think your business is very unique, and you've got a clear motivation. I'm interested to know, what's your dream? Where do you see it going in the future? Where would you like to get to with your brand?
So I think, I think we started off as a retailer, and we were motivated to be a retailer rather than a tour operator for the reason of choice. We're dependent on achieving donations at the same time as customers booking a holiday. So if we perhaps went into a niche, we would be turning people away that could make a perfectly good donation of 5% of the holiday directly to the charity of their choice. So we've started off as a retailer. I think where it's going to go in the future is we will begin to have areas of specialism, and we may start tour operating if there are good margin reasons and limited risk for doing that, to increase the good work that we're doing. The other area, actually I put it out on social media the other day, is to take the social enterprise concept beyond travel. We're going to be launching a brand called Charitable Shopping, which is essentially an affiliate shopping site. Again, where a customer buys from Currys or Boohoo or whoever they're going to buy from, and at the same time earns an affiliate income which they donate to charity. So this travel is one part of the vision, but we're going to take this kind of commercial approach to social enterprise into lots of different sectors, and also lots of different markets. So Charitable Vacations is in the plan for the US market coming up. So yeah, global domination, obviously.
Excellent. And you've already taken that leap now. Would you, bearing in mind it's not the best time at the moment, or maybe it is the best time to launch a new business, would you encourage people to take the leap if they're thinking about doing it and start their own business?
I would. I think you've got to be pretty single-minded, or get to a point where you're pretty single-minded about what the vision is. I think if you're kind of dabbling with an idea, it's okay to evolve an idea and to manage change. But I think you've got to have what you think is an absolutely cracking idea, field test it, talk to networks that aren't necessarily your friends, that are gonna whose opinions you can trust. People aren't going to tell you what they think you want to hear, and then commit that vision into a business plan, and then roll with it. But absolutely, if you've got that, what I think is a charitable travel is a cracking idea. If you've got that, absolutely. If you're vague and you're not sure, then gain experience working for other people first, and then concoct your business and then go for it.
Yeah. And Angus, from your perspective, someone who's graduated and maybe has this idea, would you encourage them to go ahead and start their own business if they've got the idea?
Yeah, for sure. And I think with our case, we certainly had a few blanks in the equation when we started it. A massive focus for us, when just on the cusp of starting 100-hour holidays, which was very much what led us to Holibob, was we just tried to speak to as many people as we possibly could via LinkedIn, networking events, anyone who had sort of industry expertise and clout and was in a position of better knowledge than us, which is pretty much everyone, and just trying to understand the dynamics of the space that you're trying to enter, which is just so crucially important. And then we got to a stage where we felt we understood the market, and as a result the gap, enough that we actually thought, yeah, Holibob has got a space here and it's got a lot of potential. Yeah, and then when you get to that point, it's just a case of throwing your full weight behind it and just doing everything that you can to move it in the right direction. And there will certainly be times when it feels sort of hopeless and you don't really know if you're doing the right thing or moving in the right direction. But I think we've certainly had times when you feel like you're pushing water uphill. But it's sometimes those sort of moments when it doesn't feel like it's going to work, but you just keep moving in the right direction, that actually means that you sort of get to that next milestone or get to that next stage. So yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. And Martin, I'm sure you're always heading in the right direction and never hopeless. So that huge learning curve that you've had over the period of time of your business, I wonder, are there things that you look back now and wish that you knew before? Not necessarily that you did differently, but are there learnings that you've taken and wish, if we knew that before, it would have made it a lot quicker and easier?
I think the first thing to say is I'm not sure there is any sort of super quick wins in starting a business. Potentially in the technology space, I think sometimes there can be some really exciting growth, but certainly in the tour operating, in the potentially the travel agency or sort of holiday side of it, I think a lot of the time, I think you can come up with a great product, but there is going to be some time required to build that product up. And I think any entrepreneur considering starting a business at this time, don't start it unless you're prepared to get in and really make it work over a number of years and beyond.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much to all our panelists. So many insights there and lots of positivity, which we like. So thank you all for taking the time to join us. Really appreciate it.